The best way to describe the new Suicide Squad is the subversion of expectations. Superhero movies can feel a little formulaic sometimes. The hero has struggles and then manages to overcome them to defeat the villain. As audience members, this experience can either be gratifying or tedious depending on execution. Suicide Squad says screw expectations, we are gonna do whatever the hell we want. There is so much wild and downright goofy shit in this movie, not to mention a boatload of self-aware humor. Plus they showcase heroes that we wouldn't normally see on the big screen. These choices pay off brilliantly in my opinion. Instead of getting a stereotypical good versus evil story, this movie has a lot of moral ambiguity. Who are the heroes? Who are the villains? James Gunn had the difficult task of pressing Ctrl-Z on the old movie, and to me, he did a really good job. So today, I wanted to briefly go over what makes the new Suicide Squad a masterpiece, and who I'd recommend to watch this movie. I'm Very Berry. If you enjoy this content, maybe like and share with your friends. Also, don't forget to hit that sub button and notification bell so you'll always see my latest content. This movie shines for its cast, narrative, and comedic elements. For starters, the chemistry between characters was otherworldly. These dissimilar people somehow managed to feel well realized. When they interact with each other, there are some moments when they really seem like family. Banter in particular helped to make this movie feel well paced. Whenever there is downtime in the plot, the characters know how to spice up different scenes. Not to mention, this movie is hilarious. Each person has meaningful jokes to add that were pretty clever. I was hooting and hollering at quite a few scenes. Bless DC for making this flick R-rated. So many of the best comedic moments couldn't be executed if this movie was catered towards a more broad audience. Plus it's nice to have an adult-oriented superhero whose plight we can empathize with. Many of us don't have the same struggles as Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Some of us face different problems, all of which were tackled pretty well in Suicide Squad. The inclusion of less prominent characters in the DCU is also a nice touch. A variety of obscure and unique powers constantly keep the audience on their toes. What does this weird looking hero do? I also love the movie doesn't take itself too seriously. A lot of the jokes in Suicide Squad rely on self-aware humor about superhero movie tropes. That being said, there's a certain type of humor for everyone in this movie. From edgy to more cynical, even some dry humor mixed in. The variety and complexity of some of the jokes caught me off guard. Although the humor and banter aren't the only selling points in this movie. Characters help add so much depth to the story. Everyone felt like they had a reason to be in the narrative. I was shocked that even the more troll characters had a surprising amount of nuance. You can see that the actors are having a good time living it up in this wild fantasy. Sylvester Stallone in particular was masterclass for his role. Even though this movie is largely a comedy, its narrative is exceptionally powerful. Moral ambiguity is everything in this film. I enjoy many Marvel movies, but there's usually a good side and bad side that's very obvious. Avengers good, Thanos bad. But in Suicide Squad, the premise itself causes conflict. The world's worst criminals are forced to do good. This idea also pushes back on the stereotypical notion of what a hero is. Many of us envision someone with a perfect moral compass. This hero always does the right thing. Thor rescues a bus filled with children. But Harley Quinn, by contrast, blew them up. For me, this moral haziness is so powerful as a concept. Can we really cheer for the Suicide Squad after their countless atrocities? The final thing that sets this movie apart is its political message. This movie talks about current issues that parallel pretty well onto other countries' lived experiences. All these different elements in the film work in perfect unison to make something enjoyable for most audiences. I would say this flick is a must-see for superhero fans or those who love action comedies in general. Suicide Squad has an absurd amount of blood, gore, and death, so that's something to consider. Also, there's a lot of adult humor, so I probably wouldn't recommend this movie for younger kids. Overall, Suicide Squad manages to be fun, entertaining, and powerful all at once. This film challenges so many ideas that we take for granted in the media we consume. I can't recommend this movie enough. Overall, I'd say it's an 8.5 out of 10. Thanks for checking out this video. Let me know down in the comments your thoughts or feelings about the new Suicide Squad.